The studio audience buzzed with confusion, anticipation, and a pinch of disbelief. A man walked onto the America's Got Talent stage, clad in glittering sequins, eyeliner sharper than Simon Cowell's sarcasm, and a presence that demanded attention. But it wasn't just any contestant. No, it was Tom Sandoval. Yes, that Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules. Whispers started immediately. Was it really him? Had he finally abandoned reality show drama for center stage? As the judges straightened in their chairs and the crowd's murmurs intensified, Sandoval offered a cheeky grin, clearly basking in the bewilderment and buzz. He hadn't even performed yet, and he'd already stolen the moment. For years, Sandoval had been the lightning rod of Bravo's most chaotic moments. A bartender, a band member, a lover, a villain. His name trended online for all the right and wrong reasons. But this time, he was stepping into a completely different arena, one where drama only helped if it came wrapped in talent. As he introduced himself, Tom Sandoval from Los Angeles, California. Heidi Klum raised an eyebrow. Sofia Vergara tilted her head with amusement. Howie Mandel chuckled. Simon Cowell's expression was unreadable. "What brings you here, Tom?" Cowell asked, his tone flat but curious. "I'm here to show a different side of me," Sandoval replied, his voice steady but tinged with nerves. "Music's always been a passion, and I think people forget that with all the drama. I want to remind them." He signaled to the band offstage. The lights dimmed, the music swelled, and suddenly, unexpectedly, Sandoval sang. And he wasn't bad. In fact, he was good. Like, surprisingly good. He tackled Queen's Somebody to Love, a bold choice by any standard. But he didn't try it out Freddie Mercury. Instead, he leaned into his strengths: theatrical flair, controlled falsetto, and raw emotional delivery. His voice cracked at just the right moments. He felt his knees mid-song. The performance had drama, sure, but the authentic kind. The kind that came from years of being underestimated, scrutinized, memed, and mocked. The final note soared, the crowd roared, and Sandoval stood, panting, emotional, eyes scanning the crowd for validation. For a brief moment, the judges didn't speak. Then Howie broke the silence. "Well, that was unexpected." Heidi added, "You know, I was ready to hit my buzzer. But then you started singing, and I thought, wait, this is real. This is actually good." Sofia said, "You came out looking like a rock star from a Vegas soap opera, and you proved you are one." Then Simon chimed in. "Tom, I have to be honest. I thought this was going to be a joke. But you've done what very few people in your position manage to do. Make people forget who you were long enough to listen to who you are now. That was impressive." Sandoval's smile widened, but there was mist in his eyes. "Thank you," he said quietly. All four judges gave a yes. The internet, of course, exploded. Within minutes of the episode airing, #TomSandovalAG was trending. Twitter users swung between confusion and admiration. Is it just me, or did Tom Sandoval just serve VOCLs? One user posted. Another wrote, "Didn't expect to cry over a Vanderpump Rules dude on AGT, but here we are." Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some accused him of using the platform for image rehab after his now infamous cheating scandal with Rachel Leviss. Others joked that his performance was just an elaborate apology tour set to music. But even the critics couldn't deny one thing: he had talent. Bravo fans were divided. Some were furious, calling it a publicity stunt. Others were intrigued, suggesting that maybe the drama didn't define him entirely. Old clips resurfaced. Sandoval performing in a dive bar, playing trumpet in school, jamming with his band, Tom Sandoval and the most extras. The narrative began to shift. Producers, sensing gold, leaned in. AGT promos from that point featured Sandoval prominently. Teasers hyped his journey, showing backstage confessions, practice sessions, and reaction shots. Viewers tuned in, some out of curiosity, others out of genuine interest. Ratings spiked. For Sandoval, the show offered something he hadn't had in a while: a clean slate. In backstage interviews, he opened up about the storm he'd weathered. "I know I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. But music's always been a way for me to process, to heal. This isn't about fame. It's about finding my way back to myself. Some fans rolled their eyes. Others believed him. Either way, people were watching. In the weeks that followed, Sandoval kept advancing. He performed covers and originals, each act more polished than the last. He ditched gimmicks in favor of raw emotion. One week, he performed an acoustic version of Creep by Radiohead. Another week, he sang an original ballad rumored to be about Ariana Madix, the woman at the center of his biggest scandal. That performance, in particular, sent the audience into a frenzy. Did he just say an apology? Fans tweeted. He never confirmed it, but he didn't need to. The emotion was there, real or performed. Who could say? But it moved people. By the time semifinals rolled around, he was no longer the guy from Vanderpump Rules. He was Tom Sandoval, the performer, the showman, the wild card. The judges started fighting for him. "I think you're the most improved contestant of the season," Sophia said. "I think he's got a real shot," Howie added. But Simon, never one to hand out compliments easily, said something that echoed across the internet. "You came here a punchline. You're leaving a performer." And just like that, Sandoval had done the unthinkable. He'd rewritten his narrative, not through press releases or tearful interviews, but through talent. He didn't win AGT. A 14-year-old magician from Ohio did. But in many ways, Sandoval was the real victor. He proved that redemption was possible, not by hiding from the past, but by outshining it. After the finale, he posted a thank you message on Instagram. "This has been one of the most challenging and beautiful experiences of my life. Thank you to everyone who gave me a chance. I'll never forget it." He dropped a surprise EP 2 days later, 5 original songs, each more polished and vulnerable than fans expected. It shot to no. 8 on the iTunes pop chart. Entertainment outlets, once quick to mock, now praised his arc. Variety called his AGT run the most unlikely redemption arc of 2025. Rolling Stone interviewed him. Billboard featured him in their 10 to watch list. Back on Bravo, castmates had mixed reactions. Lisa Vanderpump, ever diplomatic, said, "I always knew Tom had charisma. I'm glad the world saw another side of him." Ariana Madix, when asked, replied coolly, "Good for him." Rickle posted a vague story with the caption, "Growth looks different on everyone." But Sandoval didn't clap back. He didn't gloat. He stayed silent, focused, grateful, changed. Months later, he announced a national tour with his band. Tickets sold out in minutes. At one show, he paused mid-performance. "I used to think I had to prove myself to the world," he told the crowd. "But now, I just want to share what I love. And if it connects, that's enough." The audience erupted. This time, they weren't Bravo fans or AGT viewers. They were his fans. And maybe that's the real magic. Not the performance, not the glitter, not the redemption narrative crafted by network editors. Maybe it was just this: a guy, broken but bold, choosing to start again, with a mic in hand and something real to say. As Tom Sandoval stood in the spotlight, drenched in sweat and applause, there was a distinct shift, not just in the room, but in how the world saw him. He wasn't just a headline anymore, or a controversial name tossed around social media. He was a performer reclaiming his voice, one performance at a time. What began as a spectacle had transformed into something sincere, layered, and undeniably compelling. His journey on America's Got Talent reminded everyone watching that growth doesn't always come quietly. Sometimes it arrives in a burst of lights and sound. Messy, raw, but true. And in that truth, Sandoval found something that years of television drama could never give him: peace. Not everyone would forgive him, and not everyone had to. But in chasing a dream he'd long buried beneath the noise, he managed to quiet the doubts, both theirs and his own. Whether he fades or flourishes from here no longer matters. Because for once, Tom Sandoval didn't just demand attention. He earned respect. In the months that followed his AGT journey, Sandoval kept a low profile. No scandal, no interviews engineer for damage control. Instead, he let the music speak. He released acoustic versions of his AGT performances and announced a mini documentary titled Reverb. chronicling his emotional roller coaster from public downfall to creative rebirth. Fans, once divided, began showing up in droves, not just to forgive, but to listen. Venues that once laughed off his name were now booking him. Critics who once dismissed him were reviewing his work with genuine curiosity. And in a twist no one saw coming, his songs started appearing on playlists next to names he'd idolized for years. Still, Sandoval remained humble. "I'm not chasing perfection anymore," he said in one backstage moment. "Just connection." That vulnerability became his trademark, not as a calculated PR strategy, but as a man learning to live honestly in front of a crowd that once booed. Somehow, he made it work. And that, more than any trophy or title, was the real win.